March 15, 1954, 2:37 a.m. The improvised blade gleamed in the darkness of the D-block cell at Alcatraz. Tommy, the butcher. Marino gripped the knife so tightly that his knuckles turned white. 3 meters in front of him, Bumpy Johnson slept in his bunk, completely vulnerable. $75,000. That was the price the Genovese family had put on Bumpy's head. And Tommy, his cellmate for 8 months, the man Bumpy had protected from a brutal beating in the yard, had accepted the contract. The plan was simple. Wait until 2:30, when the guards changed shifts. A stab to the neck, quick, silent, fatal. Tommy took 2 steps. His heart pounded so hard he was sure someone would hear it. He raised the knife. That's when Bumpy opened his eyes. He didn't move. He just looked straight at Tommy and said 7 words that would echo through the corridors of Alcatraz for the next 20 years. Go ahead, but then you scream. Tommy froze. What? I said, go ahead, Tommy. But when you're done, you're going to scream. You're going to scream real loud, because what's coming next is going to teach everyone on this island a lesson they'll never forget. The knife trembled in Tommy's hand. How did he know? How did Bumpy always know? And why the hell was he so calm? To understand what happened that early morning, you need to understand who Bumpy Johnson was in 1954. He wasn't in Alcatraz because he was an ordinary criminal. He was there because he was too dangerous for any other prison. In 1951, after years controlling the numbers racket in Harlem, Bumpy was caught in a federal sting. 15 years. They sent him to Alcatraz to silence him, to cut him off from his empire. But what the authorities didn't understand is that power doesn't come from where you are. It comes from who you are. When Bumpy arrived at Alcatraz in 1952, the prison was controlled by 3 gangs: the whites, the Mexicans, and the Italians. The blacks were fewer than 20 in a population of 250 inmates. They had no territory, no protection, no voice. But they had Bumpy Johnson. In 6 months, Bumpy did the impossible. He negotiated with everyone, resolved disputes, and earned respect. Bumpy didn't conquer Alcatraz with violence. He conquered it with intelligence. And that made a lot of people nervous, especially the Genovese family. Vito Genovese was building his empire in New York. He wanted Harlem. But as long as Bumpy Johnson was alive, even behind bars, Harlem would never be his. Bumpy's orders still got out of Alcatraz. Coded letters, messages through lawyers. Bumpy was still the king. In January 1954, Genovese sent an emissary, Vincent "Vinny Fingers" Calabresi, a corrupt lawyer with deep connections. January 14, 1954, 2 months earlier. Vinny managed to get a meeting with Tommy Marino. Tommy was serving 20 years for murder. His wife, Maria, was struggling to raise 2 kids alone. Anthony, the oldest at 12, was running with the wrong crowd. Tommy was desperate. Vinny knew it. They sat in a lawyer's room. Vinny placed a photo on the table. Maria and the kids. Tommy, you're a family man, but your family's suffering. Your boy's been caught stealing. Maria's working double shifts. She can barely pay the rent. That's no life, Tommy. Vinny pushed a briefcase forward. Inside, $75,000 in bonds. All yours. Enough for your wife to never work again, to put your boys in private school. Tommy stared at the money. For what? For a simple job. You have a cellmate, Bumpy Johnson. He needs to have an accident. Tommy recoiled. You're crazy? Bumpy protected me in here. And that's why you're perfect, Vinny said. You're the only person he trusts. Tommy shook his head. I can't. Vinny leaned in. Listen, Tommy. Bumpy's a dead man anyway. The difference is, if it's you, your family gets rich. If not, your family stays in misery, and you probably die too. Tommy closed his eyes. My kids. Exactly, Vinny replied. Think of them. Think of Anthony in private school. All you need is one quick move. Tommy left carrying that weight. 3 days later, Maria called crying. Anthony had been expelled. They were about to be evicted. That night, Tommy made his decision. I'm in. Vinny sent instructions. A corrupt guard named Patterson would leave the knife hidden. Tommy was to act on March 15th at 2:30, 15 minutes of window. No cameras, no witnesses. What Tommy didn't know was that Bumpy Johnson already had eyes everywhere, even in Alcatraz. 2 weeks earlier, a janitor named Marcus found a dropped note near Patterson's desk, a list of names and dates. Tommy's name was there. March 15th. Marcus handed the note to Bumpy. Bumpy read it without changing his expression. Thanks, Marcus. Keep an eye on Patterson. That night, Bumpy didn't sleep. Tommy Marino, his cellmate, the man he'd protected. Bumpy wasn't angry. He was disappointed. But Bumpy Johnson didn't get where he was by forgiving betrayals. He turned betrayals into lessons. Over the next 2 weeks, Bumpy watched Tommy, saw the conflict in his eyes. Tommy was falling apart inside. March 14th, one day before. Bumpy was playing chess with Tommy. Suddenly, Bumpy stopped the game. Tommy, look at me. You're a good man. You've made mistakes, like all of us. But deep down, you have honor. Don't lose that. Not for money. Because when you lose your honor, you lose everything. Tommy swallowed hard. Bumpy put a hand on his shoulder. I trust you, brother. Tommy almost confessed everything. But he didn't. Because he'd already decided. For his family. March 15th, 2:30 a.m. The moment arrived. Tommy found the blade where Patterson had left it. His hands shook. $75,000. His family's future. Bumpy had his back turned. Vulnerable. Tommy raised the knife. That's when Bumpy opened his eyes. Go ahead. But then you scream. Tommy was paralyzed. What? You think I don't know, Tommy? About Vinny? About the 75 grand? About Patterson? I've known everything for 2 weeks. Then why didn't you do anything? Because I needed to be sure. Needed to see if you'd go through with it. If money was more important than your honor. And now I know. Tears ran down Tommy's face. My kids, Bumpy. They're gonna take them out of school. My wife can't take it anymore. I have no choice. Bumpy sat up slowly. Everyone has a choice, Tommy. The question is what kind of man you want to be. Tommy was shaking. There's no other way. Bumpy reached under his mattress and pulled out an envelope. He tossed it to Tommy. Open it. Tommy opened it. Inside were legal documents, transfer papers for an apartment building in the Bronx, 5 rented units, $600 a month income, in Maria Marino's name. This is mine? I bought it 3 months ago, Bumpy explained. Had it put in your wife's name. $600 a month is enough for her to stop working so hard, to keep your boys in school, to live with dignity. Why? Why would you do that? Because that's what we do for our own, Bumpy said. I know you're desperate. I respect that. But I wasn't going to let you destroy yourself. Wasn't going to let you become the kind of man who lives with blood on his hands. The knife fell to the floor. Tommy dropped to his knees, sobbing. Bumpy, I'm sorry. I know, Bumpy said. And that's why you're still alive. But now you're going to do exactly what I told you. You're going to scream. What? Scream, Tommy. Scream like you killed me. Scream so everyone hears. And when they get here and find me alive, when they see you crying with the knife beside you, everyone on this island will know what happened. Tommy understood. Bumpy was sending a message. To the inmates, the guards, the Genovese family, to everyone. So scream, Tommy. Scream now. Tommy let out a scream that chilled the blood of everyone in Alcatraz. The sound echoed through the corridors, piercing every cell. Inmates woke up. Guards came running. Alarms sounded. In 30 seconds, 6 guards were at the door with guns drawn. The door opened. Tommy was on his knees crying, the blade beside him, and Bumpy sitting calmly on his bunk, unharmed, staring at Patterson. Captain Thompson looked from Tommy to Bumpy. What happened here? Mr. Marino had a crisis of conscience, Bumpy replied. Someone offered money to kill me, but he couldn't do it, because unlike you people, he still has honor. Patterson went pale. Thompson turned to him. Patterson, you know anything about this? No, sir. Of course not, Bumpy smiled, just like you don't know about the knife hidden in the bathroom, or the lawyer Vinny Calabrese, or the 75 grand from the Genovese family. You don't know anything, right? The silence was deafening. Thompson looked at Patterson. You're dismissed. Go to my office. Now. Patterson ran out. Thompson turned to Bumpy. And you? Why aren't you dead? Because I always know what's coming. Because I take care of my own. And because on this island, Captain, respect is earned. And I just earned the respect of every inmate here. Thompson knew it was true. The news would spread like wildfire. Take Marino to solitary, Thompson ordered. No, Bumpy interrupted. He stays here. With me. Are you crazy? That man tried to kill you, and I forgave him. He made the right choice in the end. Let him stay." Thompson stared at Bumpy for a long moment. "You're one strange son of a bitch, Johnson." "I know." Bumpy smiled. Thompson and the guards left. The door closed. Tommy was still on the floor. Bumpy sat beside him. "Get up, Tommy. It's time you learned to live with honor." Tommy looked at Bumpy. "How do you live knowing someone wants you dead? You live by helping people, building loyalty, being 3 steps ahead, and never forgetting who you are." Tommy wiped his tears. "Thank you for saving my family, and for saving me from myself. That's what brothers do, Tommy." The next morning, the story had spread throughout Alcatraz. Bumpy Johnson turned an assassination plot into a demonstration of absolute power. Patterson was fired and arrested for corruption. Vinnie Calabrese disappeared, probably at the bottom of the river. And the Genovese family got the message. You don't kill Bumpy Johnson. You don't buy Bumpy Johnson. You don't beat Bumpy Johnson. Tommy served the rest of his sentence without incident. When he got out in 1962, Maria was waiting for him, smiling. The building's rents had changed their lives. His kids were in good schools. Anthony had become an exemplary student. Tommy got an honest job and lived as a decent man. He never forgot what Bumpy did. And he never stopped telling the story. The story of how a scream in Alcatraz changed everything. Bumpy left Alcatraz in 1963, returned to Harlem and continued being the king until his death in 1968. But that night in March 1954, that scream that echoed through America's most feared prison, that became legend. It became a lesson about true power, about how the most dangerous weapon isn't a knife. It's knowing what's coming before it happens. It's turning betrayal into loyalty. It's playing chess while everyone's learning checkers. Tommy Marino left Alcatraz with something far more valuable than $75,000. His soul. And Bumpy Johnson? He proved once again why he was impossible to beat. Because he didn't just survive. He turned every attack into victory. And that's why, decades later, we're still telling these stories.